experiences and then seeing things unfold. I've learned. And in fact, one of the lessons learned is that I have now understood when to see the red flag and distance myself from either an individual or, because you start seeing the pattern.
And what's that pattern?
The pattern is someone who excites you with some sort of, you can say, track record from their past. Because, when you're sitting in those rooms, if I come and tell you, guys, I used to be, an engineer and I am the one who did ABCD, then you're the credibility thing. So you get excited about, we have this person who has been there. He has never lost any election. Remember, that was the basis on which we were having those conversations. William Ruto has never lost any election. Everything he has vied for, he has won. Every intent of office he has gone for, he has gotten. So at the time, really, it's exciting because you're like, yeah, by the way, this guy has never lost an election. Yeah, by the way, this guy, even when he was, and anything that was brought to our attention, for instance, there were instances that were being told, your candidate is strong in this area, but these are some of the things that guys are questioning. And it will be covered very quickly with, he's an underdog and they're just, targeting him for ABCD. So there's that understanding now that it comes with some sort of excitement of being in a winning team, so to speak. And then you sort of lose focus on the nitty-gritties. Because, for instance, when we started looking at the promises, the gallery of lies, then I told myself, let me have a refresher course and go back to the manifesto that we created. And I realized that the 4 priorities, and it was listed, the core priorities had nothing to do with women. And you see, I was brought in as a person who would push and drive the women agenda so we can get the women's votes. That should have been the first red flag, that when we went down to documenting, it said that they will prioritize agriculture, MSME, housing, healthcare, and digital superhighway. Yet, the majority of voters who put William Ruto in office were women. And the women charter that we fought for so hard was never a priority, even in documentation. So, the excitement of being in a team that's looking like, we are going to this exciting place, you look and you're like, now looking back, why didn't we push to have the documentation that the women charter would be a priority in the pillars? And so it just slipped. So it is in the manifesto as an annex of some sort. And that should have been the first red flag, because when William Ruto towards the end realized that the Hustler Nation movement is gaining traction and everything, but then he realized that he's not going to get the youth vote. He realized that towards the end. We quickly were told, okay, come together, let's go back. We reverted to the women. So at that point, even, that's when, if you ask me, we should have been like, okay, if it's the women that are going to take you to State House, priority number 1 should be the women agenda. But I guess,
So why didn't you ask at that point?
As I told you, it's a stupid excitement, being part of, the winning team. We were sold for this idea that this person has never lost anything.
However, the same person, when he was in the Ministry of Agriculture, there was probably one of the biggest agriculture scandals that there was when he sat at the helm of that ministry. It's the same individual who sat before the ICC with, questions about what had happened. Shouldn't those have been the red flags?
Yes. And in all fairness, one thing that Kenyans don't know is how William Ruto deals with creating his movement or his people or the followers. For instance, we used to meet every week as the communications team. And we used to meet with him every week. And you remember that time he was a deputy president. And every week, he would give us audience to ask him all these questions. Because remember, it was not only that. There was also the guy who died from Harambee House Annex, the security guy. So all these things were coming in the news and all these things were being revived. And One of the things that William Ruto is smart about is he would meet you and he would give you the opportunity to ask him these questions. And so, you'd say, okay, in the newspapers today, we are now dealing with this. We would like to understand what happened as your team before we start defending or supporting what. And in all fairness, we would always leave that boardroom convinced.
Inspired.
Okay. And out ready to defend because our candidate is being accused. And he would give extensive reasons believable reasons as to what is happening, why it's happening. And the difference between, at that time, working for, and I know this because I had friends who are on the other side of the campaign. The difference was that on the other side of the campaign, you would never be able to ask the candidate anything. And so it became difficult to defend the candidate.
Okay.
And the candidate put up you can't criticize me kind of campaign. So you would find that we ended up, it's as I keep saying, it's like a cult. It's like a cult. Sometimes you come out of it and you're like, how, what was happening? So, but there was always this efforts to cover up the red flags. And the efforts seemed sincere. Because, for instance, being given audience at that time with a deputy president, the room full of critics in communications department, shooting questions as to what, what's happening. And then the candidate would answer and give. And we had come prepared, even with facts of, this is what, and you need to look at the research on this and that. And then, as I said, he's a pretty smart conman.
Okay.
Yeah.
But